Shifting our focus to West Asia now, where Israel has approved two separate plans for both Palestinian territories. One for the takeover of Gaza City and the other for a controversial settlement project in occupied West Bank. Early in the day, Defense Minister Israel Katz approved the military's plan for the takeover of Gaza City in the besieged Strip. Israeli Defense Forces have named the operation Gideon's Chariots 2, which comes in the continuation to the first part of Israel's military plans, which was earlier carried out in May. According to the reports, the IDF will be releasing 50,000 call-up orders to reservists in order to make up for operational demands. This is in addition to those reservists who are already serving. Ahead of the operation, Israeli forces are continuing their ongoing bombardment in several parts of Gaza. Just hours ago, plumes of smoke were seen in Khan Yunis as thousands of Palestinians face repeated displacement. Moving from one territory in Gaza to another of over 2 million Palestinians living in Gaza, 90% have been displaced, many of them several times. Israel's push to carry on with its military plans comes despite rising global criticism over the war-induced crisis in the Gaza Strip. Gaza's health ministry says that Israeli onslaught so far has killed more than 62,000 Palestinians, many of whom are women and children. The Gaza City takeover plan, which several leaders and critics have called an occupation, has now received the green light despite progress in truce talks. Hamas has reportedly given a positive response to the brokered proposal. But Israel has remained silent, with officials saying that contemplation on the clauses are ongoing. Among civilians in Gaza, hope for truce is divided between cautious optimism and no expectation at all.
For 23 months, there has been no one to rely on. Not Israel, not Hamas, not the Palestinian parties. Arab countries, not even foreign ones, don't care about us. All we can rely on is God, but regarding optimism, there is no hope at all.
Israel's offensive is not just limited to Gaza. The country is also eyeing ground operations of a different kind in occupied West Bank. Israel's Higher Planning Committee of the Civil Administration has given final approval for the controversial E1 settlement project. The proposal involves building 3,400 housing units between Jerusalem and the Male Adumim Israeli settlement in the occupied West Bank. Far-right ministers in Netanyahu's government have hailed this contentious project. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich said, and I quote him here, "The Palestinian state is being erased from the table not by slogans but by deeds. Every settlement, every neighborhood, every housing unit is another nail in the coffin of this dangerous idea." Critics have called the plan an effort to sabotage political solution for Palestinian statehood and also a severe threat to territorial integrity for the Palestinians. Well, it's a nightmare moment for young America. Fresh graduates armed with degrees weighed down with debt. They're walking straight into closed doors. The U.S. graduate unemployment rate has reached its highest level since 1988. The class of 2025 is discovering the American dream looks more like a shutdown. Our next report telling you more.
From university campuses to the real world, the journey for Generation Z is turning into a nightmare. They have been told that a degree is the key to prosperity. Yet, a shocking number of new graduates are finding themselves without a job. The US graduate unemployment rate has soared to levels not seen since the 1980s, forcing a generation to confront a brutal new economic reality. The question is, who or what is to blame? Some analysts are pointing the finger directly at Trump-era policies. His administration's trade wars and tariffs have created a ripple effect, destabilizing supply chains and forcing companies to pull back on hiring, leaving industries that once offered solid graduate jobs in limbo. But others argue this crisis is far more complex, driven by an unstoppable force, artificial intelligence. AI is already automating the very entry-level jobs that graduates once relied on to get their foot in the door, making roles in content creation, data analysis, and marketing increasingly redundant. This employment vacuum has given rise to a new unsettling trust gap. The hiring process has become a minefield, with a surge in ghosting where companies simply disappear after interviews, and catfishing where firms misrepresent jobs to lure candidates. For a generation that values transparency, this has created a culture of distrust. Gen Z candidates are now reportedly ghosting employers in return, creating a vicious cycle of mutual frustration and a hiring process defined by suspicion. This is a battle for the future of work, and Gen Z is caught in the middle. Bureau Report WION World is One.
For my next story, I want to begin by asking all of you a question. What makes great art? The paint, the brush, the hours of hard work, or is it the vision and the soul of the artist? And if that's true, then what makes cinema cinema? Is it the camera equipment used, or the real emotions and stories that shape the movie? Or does none of that matter, as long as people are entertained? These are a slew of questions we were confronted with today, because in a world where anyone with a phone and internet connection can create art in seconds through AI, a new debate has been sparked. And here in India, in the land of Bollywood, the upcoming release of a first of its kind fully AI-generated feature movie, has set Bollywood on fire, with directors and actors now openly picking sides. The movie, called Chiranjeevi Hanuman the Eternal, and has been announced by Abu Dhatia Entertainment and Collective Media Network. They are marketing it as India's first made-in-AI, made-in-India movie. But not everyone is happy. Let's start with Anurag Kashyap himself, director of movies like Black, Friday, Dev D, Gangs of Wasipur. He posted a scathing attack on the makers, accusing them of putting profits above the very artists they represent. He said, and I'm quoting him here, "So much for looking after the interests of creators. End of the day, it's only about money. Since they chose turkeys after turkeys for you and you are not making enough for them, they are going all AI." He did not stop there. He called on actors to question or even leave the agencies backing the project, blasting those who support AI movies as spineless and cowardly. Of course, he wasn't alone. Vikramaditya Motavani, director of movies like Udan and Lutera, reacted with just one biting line. He said, and I quote again, "And so it begins. Who needs writers and directors when it's all made in AI," unquote. But not everyone feel the same way. Actor Ranveer Singh dropped a single word comment on the announcement post. He said, "Wow," leaving some of his fans shocked. One asked, why are you supporting this lack of creativity? While another wrote, isn't this disrespectful to the real artists? Meanwhile, the directors are defending the vision of the AI movie. Vijay Subramaniam, Group CEO of Collective Artists Network, issued a statement saying, "With this movie, we have the extraordinary opportunity to reimagine cultural storytelling for an audience that cherishes both tradition and innovation. Our approach is rooted in authenticity and cultural stewardship with full transparency about the role of AI." Still, the whole episode seems to have struck a raw nerve, because cinema, in its purest form, is about art. It comes from lived human experiences, human sadness, happiness, anger, trauma, and even love. Can an algorithm that is trained on data ever capture that depth of all these human feelings? And if AI simply reassembles patterns from existing work, then the question is, can the result be trusted? But there is economics in it as well. Most artists and creatives already struggle in an industry that is riddled with nepotism, exploitation, and shrinking opportunities. And so they fear, they worry. that if AI becomes cheaper, faster and more profitable, where does that leave human creators, human talent? The bigger question isn't whether AI is a tool. Tools have always helped shape art. The bigger question is, what happens when the tool itself becomes the artist? And if AI learns from data and if the data is biased, won't its creations inherit all those same biases? What happens to authenticity then? Already, the debate has moved beyond just the makers of art to the consumers of art as well. The recent AI-altered climax of the Tamil version of Anand L. Rai's movie Ranjana sparked outrage on social media. Some were left with the same question that we began with: what makes art? The technology that creates it, or the human soul that labors behind it? Shifting focus to Malaysia, where at least one part of the country is slowly but surely following in the Taliban's footsteps. So here's what happened. In an extreme demonstration of the impact of Sharia law, the Malaysian state of Terengganu has threatened to jail men who skip Friday prayers without a valid reason. There's a warning of imprisonment of up to 2 years. Some pretty strict diktats have been put out. According to new rules announced by the governing Pan-Malaysian Islamic Party, first-time offenders could be jailed for up to 2 years and fined close to $700 or both. These fines are in place earlier too. Those who miss these 3 consecutive Friday prayers faced a maximum of 6 months in prison or a fine of up to $230. Threats of wielding this Sharia law to the full directly impinges upon religious freedoms. If implemented, the move would impact close to 1.2 million Malay Muslims, making the multicultural country tilt towards religious conservatism. This also directly clashes with the country's secular foundations. Critics say that this would be emblematic of the Taliban in Afghanistan and set a dangerous precedent for Muslims in other parts of the world. Japan is rolling out the red carpet for Africa's leaders. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has opened a 3-day development conference in Yokohama, saying he hopes to borrow wisdom from Africa. Our next report telling you more.